I had a guy on a prospect a week ago and he was like, yes, yes, yes on the call. He was all in. And then he sends me an email 8 hours later after I send the invoice and the contract. He's like, actually, I think I want a discount. Like, I think you're going to make more than enough money from this if we hit the numbers that you say we're going to hit. Like, I'm like, actually, we just like don't do discounts at all because you're just going to get a discounted service. Like if you want half price, you're going to get a half baked service. And I'm not comfortable doing that. So slowly what I'm trying to get at is I've detached from the sale and kind of gotten to the point like, can I actually help them and will I enjoy working with them in the first place if they're already going to be like this, right? Like if they're already going to be like this, then it probably isn't going to work out long term anyway. And it's just detached from like the monetary value, and I've just looked at the long term, what it's going to look like, and I'm like, yeah, I should probably be grateful that it doesn't work. That's what's helped me the most.
So is it thinking long term? And honestly, it's a pain, but what I'm catching from what you said, it is a pain to not close them, but it's a greater pain to close them. Because like we've covered in this podcast, just because someone is an entrepreneur, that doesn't mean they're not retarded. So it probably is going to be a huge pain. It's a bigger pain than not closing them. That's what I'm picking from what you say.
Yeah, and it's also just like, it's like, I guess if everything can be, if everything can be 1%, if you could be 1% better every day, and you realize like, if you just look at it as not how can I have done better in the sales call, but like how could I have targeted a better prospect? Like that's how I kind of look at it. Or like maybe it was the framing. There's so many things that it could be, right? Sometimes I'm like mad at myself that I used to do this where I would try to like get them to pay on the call. But now I'm just like, send them. If I send them the contract and the invoice and they don't fulfill it, they weren't going to be good for me anyway. So like, I usually just trust them to fulfill it. I'm just like, if you're not going to fulfill it on your own, then you probably weren't all in anyway. So that's something that I've done, and that's more of an agency thing. But just like detaching from that and just realizing like, if it's not a good client, it's not going to work out anyway. That's kind of what's worked for me the best. So
I see. I like it. Like, it's a pain now, but it's going to be a bigger pain if they said yes. It's kind of like the crazy ex. It hurts because she was hot, but then you realize, nah, she was kind of crazy, man. I don't think that was a good fit, quite literally.
I think we're just also like, we're both babies in the game, to be honest. Like whenever I talk to Ryan Booth, he's always so like, what's the word for it?
Stoic.
Yeah, he's so stoic. Like I remember I tweeted, like I never felt, this is like a mini story, but I've always growing up would run my bank account to like zero. I would never have any affinity to money. I would just spend it. I'm like, I just always knew money would come in somehow. And I was just like, I never saved money. But now as I make more, like I make a lot of money, I have like a weird, like I'm cheaper. I feel more frugal. Like I feel like I have something to protect. And Ryan was telling me that it just comes with, like it comes and goes with experience. Kind of like when you're new to it, it's kind of like you want to protect it. But as you kind of keep growing in business, you kind of lose that. I think a lot of it just comes with experience. So like, we're just pretty new,
If you could rank yourself, this is an interesting one. If you could rank yourself in the game of entrepreneurship, 0 being whatever, and 100 being, who's the richest man? Well, John D. Rockefeller, let's call that. Just the top one. Where would you rank yourself from 0 to 100?
90.
Thank you for listening to the Legs and Cash podcast. It's fun.
I would, the first thought was 50, but then I realized that 90% of business owners never make it to the point that we have. So like that would be self-deprecating and negative self-talk. I think the amount of gap between 90 and 100 is so much bigger than 0 to 90. I genuinely believe that.
Oh, you were serious on the 90. I thought it was a joke.
No, I'm dead serious.
Oh, damn. I was going to say 6 for me.
No.
Like,
I think if you look up the stats, I think we're already, so how do you rate, think about it. How do you rank business owners or entrepreneurship? There's only one way. It's by how much money you make. It's how many points you accumulated, right? You accumulate points and you get money done. So if you look at the money we've made, we are in the top 10%, 100%. So if you just look at that, you have no choice but to put yourself in that. Now from 90 to 91 and 92 to 93, huge difference from 0 to 90, right? because most business owners fail in general to just stuck at 0. You know what I mean? So I think we're at 90. I think you're at 90, 91.
Cool. Well, that was actually a deeper analysis. For me, it was kind of a like silly question. You turned it into a good one.
That one friend who overthinks everything.
No, you're the intuitive judging types. We're gonna get into MBTI. MBTI is 100% real, friends, and we do believe that we're MBTI respecters in this podcast. What are you, by the way, again?
I'm an INFP.
You're an there you go. I'm an ISTP for everyone wondering. What does that mean? It's very important, and I learned that because this is actually a good point. So I was reading my manga. Right, it's a manga about soccer. It's called Blue Lock. Very nice. So there's this kid that's really fast. That's what he does. He's just very fast, and that's his skill. The trainer catches him lifting weights at the gym, but like hard bodybuilding weights. And he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, "I'm training." Like, no. You gotta train on your best weapon because this one's gonna kind of kill the other ones because speed is your best weapon. You gotta play to your strengths. And I thought, that was really smart. Let me look up my type. And I found out my type. So this could be woo-woo, but to me, it is very real. So I looked up my type. And I don't know about you, but mine is, it's very rarely a leader, and it's very rarely the number one guy. It's never, very rarely the red Power Ranger. I hated the fucking red Power Ranger. You know why I hated the red Power Ranger? I hated the red Power Ranger because everybody else did the heavy work, and the red Power Ranger took all the glory. And I did not like that. I like the blue Power Ranger because the blue Power Ranger always cleaned house. He knew what to do. And that's always been kind of my type. I don't like managing people as much as I just like doing the thing, acting. Kind of like my thing is never a general. It's more like the warrior that's doing the thing. And when I understood that, my partnership with Ryan just got so much better because he got to be the leader. I got to be the Hulk. I just got to be the guy just did things. And I just think it's a very useful exercise to find what your strengths are. And I'm a big believer in just do the strengths, keep the weaknesses not detrimental, don't sharpen it, but keep the strengths up. And work for me, could work for you guys.
That's pretty good. I think I was listening to a podcast, and the guy said after a certain threshold, it's really just hiring killers. But I think about it, I'm like, what if you're the killer? You need to essentially get someone like Orion for you, and then just be the killer. Do you know what I mean? Because
I know exactly. It's like, what if you're the Hulk, right? You'd rather just be smashing things. You need an Iron Man. You know what I mean? Somebody who's like out there, like helping you, not necessarily being your boss, but understand that he's more of a big picture oriented person, and that's fine because you can just do your thing and you'll still win.
Yeah. Well, speaking of doing your thing, I've noticed that you do this really well, and you actually made a post about it of repurposing the content for the platform. Like you'll replace the right words, and you'll change up little things to go on the Instagram and LinkedIn. It's funny because it's something that's talked about pretty thoroughly out in the social sphere, but no one really does it. Maybe it's the resources or the effort required. I'm curious if you can give some insight into like how you think about repurposing it for the different platforms and why you even decided to go in on it, because most people know about it, but no one really does it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So my birthplace, it's always Twitter, and the sister to Twitter will always be LinkedIn. Now, I think it was Tim Denning that told me this. So shout out. Tim said, you can't just copy and paste your entrepreneurship content into LinkedIn because people's bosses are watching. You don't want the boss to see them liking a post about quit your 9 to 5. Doesn't work that way. So you might go from break free to build an audience, because an audience serves the employer. So that's kind of how I think about LinkedIn. Make something that the employer would like. Hey, I'm taking this course, I'm learning new things. So then they can say, because I'm using it for the job, even if it's to quit, it's just kind of an excuse. So that's what I use for LinkedIn. When it comes to Instagram, I always try to do hooks all the time. Like, I like to call people out on the first one. Hey, coaches. Hey, coach. Are you a coach? It's just a useful way to get people's attention. And on YouTube, kind of the same thing. When it comes to shorts, I like to think of myself like as a drug dealer. I will give out little tactics that work in a very specific context, but don't work all the time. But people love that shit. As in, here's the tonality in which you say this amount of price points and make them take the pay in full. That tonality will only work in a very specific scenario. But it's just a little feel-good medal that you can keep. That's how I think about Instagram. It's give them just the little tactics because people actually do dig that, and that's how you grow on that platform. I got this tip from you. Don't play to the ego game, play to the platform. That's what people like on that platform. When it comes to YouTube, also hooks. I had to learn a lot. My editor's really good at that, so he gives me tips. He formats my videos. But I think YouTube is the platform that I like the most just because I'm more of a long-form guy, and I like enjoy doing that. So that's kind of what I do. Twitter, you can be very free. I feel like in every platform, the content you think about and the content that should come out is different. In Twitter, it's not. The same content you think about is the one that comes out because it rewards kind of just top of mind, things you're ever thinking about. So to me, it's the platform I get to be the most careless with. LinkedIn, if a good boss can see it, good to go. Instagram, feed people little tactics. And in YouTube, I feel like the best move is actually being yourself. Because I've tried to do the other, I tried to do the Mr. Beast things. I've tried to do the make it look really well. And I feel like it's very easy to lie on text, but it's very hard to lie on video. And if people listen to one podcast of me doing this thing, I can't lie to them all the time. So that's why in YouTube, I actually gave up and said, I'm going to just be myself. So that's how I think about those 4 platforms right now. And the most fun one, it's actually YouTube. Because I get to do this podcast, I get to do the videos, and I get to explore themes that I wouldn't have the chance to explore. But YouTube, as Daniel Fazio once said, it's you got to have some resources to play the game well. And I actually agree with that. It's like, what did he say? It's like Twitter for rich people, something like that.
I totally agree. Like, I'm not gotta have to make all my shorts myself. That's so much.
It's too much. Yeah, it's too much. But yeah.
Do you use TikTok at all?
Nah, I repost stuff there. I have like 1,000, 2,000 followers. It's not a focus. I just copy and paste stuff, or my assistant copies and pastes stuff.
Yeah, it's good for like B2C. It's like it would be good for your clients, but not necessarily for some of your clients, but not necessarily you. Does that make sense? Like it's good for those very chill, just like it's almost like you just got out of the bathroom and you just like turn on the camera and start talking. Like it's really good for like the unedited raw stuff, but it's all B2C stuff. So you really get like a lower level audience. So like if you're a fitness coach. Sorry?
What platform did you say again?
TikTok. Like if you are a fitness coach, you could crush it, like absolutely crush it. Like, but if you're like a business coach, not so much, unless you're like Hormozy and you just have like elite level of clout.
Yeah. It's just a complete outlier. I actually stopped taking so much advice from the guy on videos. I believe like a guru's best work will never be in video. It will always be written because written requires so much more thinking and depth. So I took the books, I unfollowed, muted, and I'm not going to consume because I think the books are enough of what I need at the moment right now.
Yeah, I'm like halfway
to the noise. What'd you think of it?
I really like it, and it's what sparked the whole like. It's funny that he has the repurpose things for the platform kind of thing in the middle. I really like the lead magnet stuff. There's a lot of good stuff. It's a lot to unpack. It's like almost a curse if you're an existing business owner because you get so much information. It's like great if you're like in startup mode and you can just kind of read offers back to back with leads and you have like 2 strategies go in, but when you already have a business, it makes you rethink your entire fucking life.
Oh, let me walk